The alien fleet hovered above Earth, casting shadows over the vast oceans and sprawling cities. Their massive ships, gleaming with strange alloys, reflected their superiority, at least in their minds. Earth, a backwater planet by galactic standards, was an easy target. The commanders of the invasion had no reason to think otherwise. They had conquered planets far more advanced, far more formidable. "We've seen better resistance from children on our training grounds," one of the alien officers quipped, his tone dripping with condescension as he gazed at the holographic display of Earth's military capabilities. A low murmur of amusement spread through the control room. To them, Earth was laughably primitive. Their intelligence had reported tanks, planes, and handheld projectile weapons. How could such relics stand against an empire that wielded energy shields, plasma cannons, and gravitational warping technology? "Deploy the vanguard," ordered the fleet commander. "Let's see what these humans are made of." Small ships descended through the atmosphere, targeting key military bases. Their precision and speed were unmatched, and they expected Earth's forces to crumble on first contact. The humans scrambled their jets, tanks rolled out, and soldiers equipped with rifles lined up to defend their world. It was a spectacle the aliens found quaint, almost amusing. The first barrage of plasma fire vaporized several human tanks and sent jets spiraling out of control. Ground troops were scattered like insects fleeing from a light. "This is going to be easier than anticipated," another officer remarked. Their fleet was positioned for a swift conquest, and the humans' initial response seemed to confirm their expectations. They had faced no resistance worth noting. The humans, however, didn't retreat. Even as their forces were overwhelmed, they kept firing. Soldiers picked up fallen comrades' weapons, reorganized, and fired again. Tactical responses were swift. Jets that had been grounded were back in the air, maneuvering unpredictably, dodging incoming fire and managing to hit several alien ships with surprising accuracy. "Persistent," the commander muttered, not yet concerned, but the smallest hint of annoyance flickered in his voice. Still, the alien forces pressed forward. Their plasma cannons continued to tear through Earth's defenses, reducing tanks and aircraft to molten metal. It was a slaughter, but one that should have ended already. For all their superiority, the aliens couldn't understand why humans hadn't fled or surrendered. In every previous invasion, the sight of their superior technology alone was enough to send most species into a panic, followed swiftly by surrender. But the humans? They were still fighting. "Why do they keep resisting?" a junior officer asked, perplexed by the human persistence. "They're primitive," the commander replied. "It's in their nature to fight until the bitter end. But it doesn't matter. They'll be wiped out soon enough." Yet even as they spoke, reports began trickling in of alien losses. Small patrols and forward operating units were vanishing without a trace. Communication lines in certain areas had gone silent. Alien officers dismissed it as human sabotage or mechanical failure, unwilling to believe that such a backward species could be causing significant harm. One patrol reported an entire squad of alien infantry being taken out by what appeared to be human guerrilla tactics. They described a hit-and-run style of attack, humans moving quickly through dense forests, using the terrain to their advantage in ways the aliens hadn't anticipated. Drones sent to scout the area never returned. The laughter in the command room faded slightly. Still, no one took the reports seriously. After all, they were in control. They were the conquerors. "They're lucky strikes," the fleet commander declared. "Keep pushing forward." Their arrogance blinded them. They had learned nothing from these early signs, still believing that their superior weapons and numbers would crush any remaining resistance. To them, Earth was just another rock to be subjugated. It was inevitable. The commanders prepared for their next wave, convinced that the humans were on the verge of collapse. But Earth wasn't collapsing. On the ground, human soldiers communicated in whispers, relaying positions and coordinating strikes with precision. They had quickly identified weak points in the alien armor, targeting exposed joints and soft spots in the ship's shielding. The alien technology, though superior, wasn't infallible. And the humans, with their ingenuity and resourcefulness, were finding ways to exploit these weaknesses. In one particularly bold move, a group of human commandos managed to infiltrate an alien outpost. Using stolen codes and a deep understanding of the alien language that had been quietly deciphered by Earth's cryptologists, they disrupted key supply lines and disabled several key installations. The aliens, taken completely by surprise, were left scrambling to regain control of their own systems. "They're learning," one of the senior alien officers noted with a scowl. "This wasn't supposed to happen. They can't possibly hold out much longer," the fleet commander said, though for the first time, his voice lacked the certainty it had carried just hours before. But the humans weren't merely holding out. They were adapting. And the aliens, still blinded by their arrogance, hadn't yet realized that they were now on the defensive. What they once saw as a simple conquest was becoming something more dangerous. The humans, whom they had so easily mocked, were proving to be far more resilient than expected. The commanders stared at the growing reports of alien casualties, their laughter now completely gone. Earth's defenses were far from broken. Instead, they had evolved, and the humans weren't just surviving, they were preparing to counterattack. Human command centers buzzed with urgency, but not with panic. The alien onslaught had been brutal, but Earth's defenders had regrouped faster than expected. Hidden deep underground in fortified bunkers, military leaders reviewed the battle data. Alien weaponry was beyond anything they had ever seen, but it wasn't unstoppable. Patterns were emerging. Weak points in the enemy's defenses were becoming clearer by the hour. The aliens had made one fatal mistake: they underestimated humanity's ability to adapt. "Let's give them something they won't expect," a senior officer said, narrowing his eyes as he examined the data. Behind him, a team of scientists and tactical specialists worked tirelessly, developing new strategies on the fly. Plans were drawn up, and orders were given. The time for a coordinated counterattack had arrived. The human military wasn't going to rely on brute strength. They couldn't. Instead, they were about to launch a highly calculated assault, one built on precision, stealth, and the exploitation of the aliens' overconfidence. They had learned that the enemy's technology, while advanced, had certain vulnerabilities, weaknesses hidden in plain sight. Their reliance on artificial intelligence and automated systems, while efficient, left them vulnerable to disruption in ways they hadn't prepared for. Across multiple fronts, human forces initiated strikes. But this wasn't a head-on attack. Small, highly specialized teams were deployed to key alien outposts. Using a mixture of old-school guerrilla warfare and newly developed cyber tactics, they sabotaged alien communications, disabled supply lines, and turned the aliens' own systems against them. EMPs were deployed, rendering alien weaponry useless in isolated areas. Their ships, once thought invincible, were left dead in the sky as humans struck fast and retreated before alien reinforcements could arrive. The aliens, accustomed to quick victories, found themselves floundering. For the first time, they were facing an enemy that wasn't overwhelmed by their technological superiority. Humans, instead of cowering, had adapted. Each engagement was more brutal than the last, and the aliens began to realize they weren't just dealing with a technologically inferior species, they were facing a tactically brilliant one. The first major blow to the alien forces came when a squad of elite human soldiers infiltrated a key alien control center. They had been trained for months in the art of sabotage, preparing for a war no one thought they could win. Using terrain knowledge and advanced camouflage tech, the team bypassed alien security systems, infiltrated the facility, and planted a series of devices designed to wreak havoc on the enemy's network. When the devices activated, chaos erupted within the alien ranks. Communications went dark. Their precision weaponry faltered, targeting systems blinked offline, and the once coordinated fleet found itself paralyzed. Alien officers scrambled to regain control, but it was too late. The damage had been done, and human forces moved in, seizing the moment to strike at key points in the alien infrastructure. The alien commanders, who had once laughed at Earth's primitive weaponry, were now silent. Reports of human success were streaming in from across the planet. Alien outposts were being overrun. Squads of human soldiers, once outgunned and outmatched, now stood victorious over fallen alien bodies. And the human resistance wasn't just coming from soldiers. Civilians had joined the fight, creating chaos behind enemy lines, sabotaging alien supply chains, and aiding in the human effort however they could. Still, the aliens refused to admit defeat. Instead, they grew more desperate. Orders were given for increased aggression. Entire cities were targeted for destruction in an attempt to crush human morale. Alien forces unleashed devastating weapons, leveling parts of Earth in mere seconds. The ground shook, buildings crumbled, and fires lit up the night sky as the aliens intensified their campaign. But for every strike the aliens landed, the humans retaliated. Earth's forces, decentralized and mobile, adapted quickly to the shifting battlefield. They had prepared for this, had studied the enemy's tactics, their movements, and their weaponry. They weren't just reacting anymore. They were planning, moving ahead of the alien invaders, staying one step ahead of their strategies. And with each alien failure, cracks began to show in their once impenetrable armor. Alien officers, used to quick and overwhelming victories, found themselves questioning their assumptions. How could these humans, with their inferior technology, continue to resist so effectively? It didn't make sense. Their species had conquered planets with ease. Entire civilizations had crumbled at the mere sight of their ships. But these humans? They wouldn't break. They wouldn't surrender. Reports came in of more alien losses, not just in terms of equipment, but morale. Alien soldiers, who had once reveled in the thrill of conquest, now faced the grim reality that this battle might not go their way. The humans weren't scared. They weren't intimidated by the aliens' superior firepower. Instead, they fought with an intensity and resilience the aliens had never encountered before. And with every defeat, the aliens were forced to reevaluate their strategies. The turning point came when human forces, utilizing their newfound understanding of alien technology, managed to disable a key alien warship. Using a combination of EMP strikes and cyber warfare, they knocked out the ship's defenses, rendering it vulnerable to a coordinated human assault. Soldiers stormed the ship, breaching its interior with explosives and neutralizing alien forces with a ruthless efficiency that left no room for error. The ship, once a symbol of alien dominance, was taken. Human forces took control of its systems, learning its intricacies, and using its advanced technology against the very fleet it had come from. The aliens, shocked and enraged, launched a retaliatory strike, but by then, the damage had been done. Earth's forces had proven they could not only resist, they could win. And the victory wasn't just tactical. It was psychological. The aliens, once so sure of their superiority, had been forced to confront a reality they weren't prepared for. The humans, for all their perceived weaknesses, were a force to be reckoned with. They had underestimated Earth's resilience, and now they were paying the price. Back in their command centers, alien officers scrambled to regroup, to reassess their strategies. But it was clear that they had lost control of the battlefield. What was supposed to be a swift and decisive invasion had turned into a prolonged, grueling conflict. And the longer it went on, the more the aliens realized they might not have the upper hand after all. Human forces, emboldened by their success, pressed the advantage. Their strikes became more coordinated, their attacks more precise. Each victory, no matter how small, chipped away at the alien forces' once unshakable confidence. And with every passing day, it became clearer, Earth wasn't just surviving. It was winning. The aliens, now in disarray, had underestimated not just Earth's resilience but the sheer unpredictability of human warfare. Their initial superiority in technology had given them a false sense of security, but now, their arrogance was crumbling under the weight of tactical brilliance and human determination. It became clear that the longer this war dragged on, the worse it would get for the alien invaders. Humanity's real weapon wasn't just their technology, but their adaptability. The aliens had grown dependent on their advanced systems, automated strategies, and artificial intelligence. But humans, with their creativity and tactical flexibility, had proven that they could turn any disadvantage into an opportunity. In the midst of battle, they adapted faster than the alien commanders could react. Back at the alien fleet, tension gripped the leadership. They had suffered losses in areas they hadn't thought vulnerable, and reports of human successes were becoming more frequent. The realization that Earth's forces weren't just surviving, but thriving in battle, sent shockwaves through the alien ranks. It wasn't supposed to be this way. Their overwhelming firepower should have won the day long ago, but Earth's defenders had shattered those expectations. Alien generals, previously confident in their strategy, were now bickering among themselves. Some argued for more aggressive tactics, deploying their most devastating weapons to crush the humans before they could mount a full-scale counterattack. Others, however, began to question whether brute force was the answer. The humans had shown an uncanny ability to survive even the most devastating strikes, and the alien forces were beginning to run low on supplies. Attrition was taking its toll. Earth's forces had no such issue. They had learned how to scavenge and repurpose alien technology, turning captured weapons and ships against their enemies. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly in hidden labs, reverse engineering alien tech to develop new hybrid weapons, blending Earth's rugged simplicity with the sleek efficiency of the invaders' designs. What started as desperate attempts to survive had evolved into a full-blown campaign of innovation. One of the most significant breakthroughs came when Earth scientists cracked the code on the alien energy shields. These shields, once impenetrable, had been the key to the aliens' dominance. But through a combination of observation and experimentation, humans found a way to bypass them using a mix of frequency disruption and electromagnetic pulses. Once the shield technology was compromised, alien ships and ground forces lost their greatest advantage. The next wave of human attacks capitalized on this discovery. Armed with new weapons capable of piercing through alien defenses, Earth's forces launched a coordinated strike against a major alien stronghold. This time, the results were devastating, not for the humans, but for the invaders. Alien troops, expecting to hold their positions behind their shields, were caught completely off guard when the humans breached their lines with ease. In the ensuing chaos, human forces showed no mercy. They moved swiftly, methodically dismantling the alien defenses and driving the invaders back. What had once seemed like an impregnable fortress fell within hours, leaving the alien command scrambling to regroup. The psychological blow was immense. The humans, once seen as a minor nuisance, had now demonstrated that they could take down even the most fortified alien positions. On the ground, the tide of battle had shifted dramatically. Human soldiers, once outgunned and outmatched, now fought on equal footing, if not with an outright advantage. They knew the terrain, they knew their enemies' weaknesses, and they had the resolve to win. The aliens, who had once mocked Earth's soldiers as primitive and disorganized, now found themselves in a position they had never imagined, losing. Alien morale, once high, had plummeted. Commanders who had once barked orders with confidence now hesitated. The humans had shown a level of ferocity and cunning that the aliens weren't prepared for. Worse, they had no idea how to stop it. Every new strategy the aliens deployed was met with swift and brutal counterattacks. Their traditional tactics, which had worked on countless worlds before, were useless here. Earth wasn't like any other planet they had encountered. The alien fleet, still hovering in orbit, was no longer the untouchable threat it once was. Human scientists, with their newfound understanding of alien energy shields, had begun working on ways to target the ships directly. Satellite-based weapons systems, combined with reverse-engineered alien tech, now posed a serious threat to the fleet. For the first time, the aliens found themselves vulnerable even in space. Human forces, emboldened by their victories on the ground, began focusing their efforts on the fleet. Strikes were carefully planned, targeting key ships and disrupting the aliens' supply lines. The once coordinated fleet was now scattered, its ships struggling to defend themselves against a relentless barrage of attacks. Alien commanders issued desperate orders to regroup, but their communications were being jammed, their systems hacked, and their tactics anticipated by human strategists. Meanwhile, back on Earth, humanity had become united in a way it hadn't been in centuries. The alien invasion had done what no government or political ideology could. It had brought people together. Nations that had once been rivals now shared resources, technology, and intelligence. There was no room for division in the face of a common enemy. And that unity, that collective will to survive, had become humanity's greatest weapon. The war was no longer about survival. It was about victory. Human forces, now battle-hardened and equipped with advanced alien tech, weren't just defending Earth. They were preparing to take the fight to the invaders. Plans were already in motion for a counteroffensive, one that would target the heart of the alien fleet and cripple their command structure. It was a bold move, one that required perfect execution, but if it succeeded, it would be the final blow that ended the invasion for good. Alien commanders, realizing the precariousness of their situation, began contemplating retreat. They had come to Earth expecting an easy conquest, but now the planet had become a death trap. The humans had turned their own weapons against them, had mastered their technology, and had shown a level of tenacity that no amount of firepower could break. Every day the aliens stayed on Earth was another day they risked total annihilation. But retreat wasn't in their nature. The alien empire had never retreated from a planet once it had committed to invasion. To do so would be seen as a sign of weakness across the galaxy. So, they prepared for one final push, a last-ditch effort to reclaim their dominance. Their forces regrouped, and their ships, battered and damaged, repositioned themselves for a massive assault. The humans, however, were ready. They had predicted this move and had prepared accordingly. As the alien forces gathered for their final strike, human leaders gave the order for their own counteroffensive. It was a calculated risk, but one that had the potential to turn the tide of the entire war. If the humans could disrupt the alien fleet now, in this critical moment, they could cripple the invasion for good. As the two forces clashed, the battle for Earth reached its climax. The alien commanders, desperate to salvage their failing campaign, threw everything they had into the assault. But it wasn't enough. The humans, now fighting with the precision and experience of seasoned veterans, repelled the attack with brutal efficiency. Alien ships were shot out of the sky, their ground forces decimated, and their command structure shattered. For the first time in their empire's history, the aliens faced defeat on a scale they had never imagined. And the humans, once seen as nothing more than a primitive species, stood victorious, having turned the tide of war with nothing but their grit, determination, and unbreakable spirit. The aliens had underestimated humanity in more ways than one. As they prepared for what they believed would be their final assault, a coordinated effort to overwhelm Earth's remaining defenses, they still held on to a shred of hope that their superior technology would ultimately carry them to victory. But they had failed to grasp the extent of human ingenuity and resilience. The invasion had gone from a surefire conquest to an outright disaster, and yet, the invaders refused to accept the inevitability of their defeat. Earth's forces, now fully equipped with repurposed alien technology, were ready for the final phase of the conflict. Human intelligence had anticipated the aliens' final move, and preparations were made accordingly. For weeks, human military strategists had been studying the alien fleet's patterns, learning how they moved, how they communicated, and where their weaknesses lay. Every skirmish had provided valuable data, and now it was time to put that knowledge to use. On the ground, human troops had transformed into an unstoppable force. The ragtag units that had once relied on guerrilla tactics had evolved into a unified military machine. Each soldier had been trained to handle both human and alien weaponry, making them versatile and deadly in any combat situation. Special forces teams had been deployed to key alien installations, striking at the heart of their command and control systems. The invaders, who had once been so confident in their technological superiority, now found themselves constantly on the defensive. The skies above Earth had become the true battleground. Human forces had developed hybrid aircraft using both alien and human engineering, and these ships now soared through the atmosphere with precision and speed that even the aliens couldn't match. Armed with weapons capable of bypassing alien shields, these new vessels took the fight directly to the enemy, engaging the alien fleet in brutal dogfights that decimated their ranks. The alien ships, once symbols of untouchable power, now fell from the sky in flames, one after another. But the battle wasn't just about firepower. It was about strategy, about knowing when and where to strike. The aliens, still clinging to their old tactics, couldn't comprehend how the humans had turned the tide. Their centralized command structure was crumbling under the pressure, unable to adapt to the fluid and unpredictable nature of human warfare. Earth's military, once fragmented, now moved as one, executing complex strategies with ruthless efficiency. The aliens, accustomed to easy victories, were outmatched on every front. As the human counteroffensive gained momentum, the psychological toll on the alien forces became undeniable. The once confident invaders were now plagued by fear and doubt. Rumors spread through their ranks of entire fleets being wiped out by human ingenuity, of invincible weapons being rendered useless. Alien soldiers, who had once marched into battle with unwavering certainty, now hesitated, unsure of what new trick the humans might pull next. The invaders had never faced an enemy like this before, a species that refused to be conquered, that learned from every encounter and turned every disadvantage into a strength. The tipping point came when Earth's forces launched a surprise assault on the alien mothership, the heart of their invasion fleet. This massive vessel had served as the nerve center for the entire operation, coordinating the actions of every alien ship and ground force. The humans knew that taking out the mothership would cripple the alien command structure, leaving the invaders in disarray. But it wasn't going to be easy. The ship was heavily fortified, equipped with the most advanced defenses in the alien arsenal. Human intelligence, however, had identified a critical weakness. The mothership's defenses, while nearly impenetrable from the outside, relied on a single, centralized power source deep within the vessel. If that power source could be destroyed, the entire ship would be left vulnerable. A small team of elite soldiers was tasked with the mission. Armed with the latest hybrid weapons and cloaking technology, they infiltrated the ship under cover of darkness, bypassing alien security systems and heading straight for the heart of the vessel. The mission was a success. The power source was destroyed in a series of carefully placed charges, and the mothership's defenses went offline. Human forces, already in position, launched a full-scale assault on the crippled vessel. Alien ships scrambled to defend the mothership, but without its command center, they were disorganized and ineffective. One by one, the human forces dismantled the alien fleet, picking off their ships with precision strikes. On the ground, alien forces were in complete disarray. Cut off from their fleet and their commanders, they had no idea what to do next. Human soldiers, emboldened by their successes, pressed the attack. Alien strongholds fell, and the invaders were driven back on every front. What had once seemed like an impossible victory for the humans now appeared inevitable. The aliens, so confident in their superiority, had been utterly defeated by the very species they had mocked. The aftermath of the battle was felt across the entire planet. The alien fleet, once a menacing presence in Earth's skies, was now little more than debris scattered across the atmosphere. Human forces, though battered and bruised, stood victorious. The alien invaders, those who hadn't been killed or captured, fled Earth in a desperate retreat, their tails between their legs. For the first time in history, a species had successfully repelled an invasion from beyond the stars. But the victory came at a cost. Cities had been destroyed, millions of lives had been lost, and the planet's infrastructure lay in ruins. Rebuilding would take years, if not decades. Yet, despite the devastation, there was a sense of hope. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and had emerged stronger. The war had united the world in ways that had never been possible before, and there was a newfound resolve among Earth's survivors. The aliens had come to Earth expecting an easy conquest, but what they encountered was a force far greater than they had anticipated. Humanity's capacity for adaptation, innovation, and sheer will to survive had caught them completely off guard. What the aliens had seen as primitive and inferior had turned out to be their undoing. The humans, with their seemingly simple weapons and outdated tactics, had not only survived the invasion but had turned it into a resounding victory. As the last of the alien ships retreated into the void of space, Earth's leaders convened to discuss the future. The world had changed, and there was no going back to the way things were. Humanity had learned that it wasn't alone in the universe, and that it wasn't defenseless. The invasion had forced Earth to develop new technologies, to rethink its approach to warfare, and to unite in ways that had once seemed impossible. In the face of an existential threat, humanity had risen to the occasion. The aliens had underestimated the humans at every turn, and they had paid the price for their arrogance. They had expected to conquer Earth with ease, to subjugate its people and claim the planet's resources for their own. Instead, they had encountered a species that refused to be beaten, that adapted and fought back with a ferocity they couldn't match. In the end, it wasn't just Earth's defenses that had won the war, it was the indomitable spirit of humanity itself.